happened next?
Well, next was, obviously we're in early 2011 now, and I'd started dating my wife, Nicola, so we were in the early dating stages, that early relationship buzz, and so she was very supportive, very encouraging, and Wayne's younger brother, Carl, who was 17 at the time, we sat down and we talked with his mum and said, look, we really want to do something to remember Wayne, something to perhaps raise money for leukemia research, because we wanted to raise awareness and see if we could do some fundraising. So we sat down with some family friends as a group of 6 of us, and being young lads, well, I wasn't that young at the time, but we were youngish and we were full of bravado, and we started beating our chests saying, we're going to go and climb Everest and raise millions of pounds for leukemia research. And someone pointed out that climbing Everest costs about 100 grand each, and that it was probably a little bit too ambitious. So we set our sights on something that we thought was more achievable. And I say thought because for those who know the story, know what's coming next, but we'll come to that in a minute. So we said we would attempt the 3 Peaks Challenge.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you're familiar with it, but do you want me to explain what the 3 Peaks
Yeah, for people
Challenge
that don't know what the 3 Peaks Challenge, let's give it a broad overview, yeah.
So, well, the UK National 3 Peaks Challenge is a challenge to scale or climb or hike the 3 highest peaks in the highest peak in Scotland,
Yeah.
the highest peak in England, and the highest peak in Wales. So they're not necessarily the 3 highest in all of the UK, because actually there's a lot of tall mountains in Scotland. Scotland top trumps everyone else. But like if you pick the highest one in Scotland, which is Ben Nevis, the highest peak in England, Scafell Pike in the Lake District, and the highest peak in Wales is Snowdon. Yeah. And you can actually, a lot of people attempt it to do it in 24 hours.
Wow.
Which is quite a challenge. You need a designated driver. You effectively you spend 14 hours of your day climbing up and down these 3 peaks, and the other 10 hours is the drive.
So you don't really sleep? Well, you can sleep in the car on the way there.
You can have a bit of a nap. Now, and let's be honest, thousands of people have successfully done this challenge without any problems whatsoever. I mean, thousands. Like a lot of Cubs and Scouts and stuff, a lot of military people do it, but a friend of mine said, my granny did that. And then, so me, Carl, and our friends, Mike, Kevin, Bo, and there were 5 of us that did the climb, and another friend, Kevin.
So this is Team Wayne.
Team Wayne, yeah. We called ourselves Team Wayne. We set up a little website, a little Facebook page, a bit of crowdfunding for leukemia research.
Tell me about the makeup of the team, like the operations and the kind of...
Right, so firstly, there's, let's say, Carl is Wayne's younger brother, myself, and then 3 friends. So we had Kevin, Mike, and Bo, James Bo, yeah, but we called him Bo. And the 5 of us, we were like the core of Team Wayne, and we were going to go off and do these 3 peaks, but we needed a driver. So we called in the services of the local cabbie, Kevin. Yeah. So there's 6 of us now in the team, and a family friend, Kay's, one of Kay's friends, he ran a transport company. He donated us a minibus and sponsored us through, like giving us money to buy hiking boots and coats and backpacks.
I got you.
Yeah, so we did it off our own backs. We didn't do it through an organised challenge, which later turned out to be to our detriment. But we had a support team, so Wayne's mum and his stepdad, they came with us as part of the support team, and we basically planned to do it in April 2011. And we did it the weekend before Wills and Kate got married. So I remember exactly when it was. Yeah. And in our practice, we did set off to Snowdon. Just 4 of us jumped in a car, went and did Snowdon. So we felt we were pretty well prepared. We had maps. Yeah. But turns out you might need a little bit more preparation than that, because we all set off in the minibus. We went up to Fort William and we stayed in this hostel. And we wake up on the Saturday morning and we say, right, the clock starts now. It's about 7 or 8 in the morning. I can't remember the exact time, but we said that basically the challenge starts and finishes when you start at the foot of Ben Nevis. Okay. And when you reach the summit of Snowdon, that's the idea of the 24 hours.
Fair enough.
So Kevin, the minibus driver, drops us off. He's in the minibus with, Kay and Deno, the family, the support team, and the 5 of us lads, we set off through Fort William, up what we thought was Ben Nevis.
Okay.
And guess what? After several hours of hiking, and I wasn't in the best physical condition, so I'm lagging a little bit behind. Some of the lads are a bit further in front. And we're going up and up, and I'm thinking, this is pretty steep. We're like scrambling up rocks and stuff. And I thought Ben Nevis was more of a touristy path. Even though it's the highest peak in the UK, there is a footpath that you can basically walk or hike up without like scrambling up, sheer cliff faces. And I thought at the time it was a little bit steep. But anyway, we get over some of these hurdles and we're getting towards the top. And Mike, one of the fittest ones, a rugby lad, he's right at the top of the peak and I can see him in the distance. So Mike, actually, is a really close family friend and today is my personal trainer.
All right.
Clearly work in progress, but we're working on it and I go to my PT sessions a couple of times a week. But he was at the forefront of Team Wayne and he's right at the front and I can see him in the distance. And phone signal there, by the way, is pretty poor, but when you get near the top, you get a better signal. And my phone rings and Mike calls me on the phone and he must have been 5 minutes in front. And he said these words that were immortal to me. He said, "I hate to break it to you, sweetheart, but this isn't it." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "That one over there is a bit taller and looks a lot more like Ben Nevis than this one." And we're like, what? Are you kidding me? Swear words, expletives, etc. And we're like,
So how long? So you've all been climbing up this mountain for how many hours?
About 5 hours.
And it's the wrong mountain.
Wrong bloody mountain.
My goodness me.
And we're like, right, down we go. Let's go back to the minibus. So it's a good another hour down. I mean, it does take you.
So what does the conversation look like with the minibus driver when you come down and you told him this is the?
There was a little bit of a debate whether we'd been starting from the right location, and the minibus driver is absolutely adamant, dropped us at the foot of Ben Nevis, right? Absolutely adamant. And Kevin, one of the lads, had the map. He's at the front. So I'm absconding myself of any blame here, right? Yeah. But I was, as you can imagine, I was the face of the team. I was the public face because
the PR.
I was doing the PR, doing the social media, trumping up.
So let's get this straight. So so instead of being at Ben Nevis, how far away were you from there?
About 4 kilometres.
That's so funny.
So it turns out we actually climbed a peak called Stob Ban. And there's 2 Stob Bans to make it even more confusing. It's in the Memorias. My geography of knowledge of that area is pretty poor, as is quite evident.
So tell me about because that, you mentioned earlier to me about that mountain being quite difficult and quite steep and how...
On the way down, we met some proper rock climbers and they had all the gear, the axe and the ropes and stuff. And we asked them what the peak was and they giggled and said, yeah, it's Stob Ban. And they went, hang on a minute, have you been to the top? Like that. We weren't in flip-flops or sandals. We were in proper hiking gear, but we weren't in climbing gear.
But you know what's interesting to me? I think the spirit of Team Wayne is we're going to just conquer anything. We don't care what it is. We're going to get up that mountain.
I don't know about conquer might not be the appropriate term there. So we get back to the minibus and we confessed that we got the wrong one. And they're like, are you kidding? So we said, we can't redo it.
Yeah.
So we drove down to the Lake District. And it's a 6-hour drive. Vast expanses of lochs and lakes everywhere. Beautiful, beautiful. But we're pretty tired. And being honest, although we're laughing at it, we're pretty deflated that we'd messed up. And we were debating on that journey whether we should even confess. And I was like, I said, who's going to know? We got photos for Facebook of us up a mountain. But we're like, no, let's come clean because people had sponsored a lot of money.
Okay.
By this time, we're looking at the Just Giving page and we were at like £2.5 grand, £2,500, which is a lot of money for a leukemia charity. And we felt that honesty was the best policy to let people know. But we said, look, it won't matter when we've conquered the other 2. If only it had been that simple. So we get to the Lake District. It's now getting to be quite dark. It's about 5 or 6 p.m. in April. It's getting pretty dark. The clocks had changed, but it was still, it's getting dark. As we start ascending Scaffold Pike, which we had done once successfully in training earlier that year, but it's getting dark, it's cold, our legs are tired. I was unfit. I had to turn back after an hour. I was blowing chunks. I was like, puffing. And one of my friends, Bo, he had a knee injury. His knee had given way. So the 2 of us hobbled back and Kevin, who was one of the fittest ones, he came with us just to support us back down. So that only left 2 of them to carry on up Scaffold Pike. So this is Mike, right? Remember he's phoned down at top of bed. And Carl. So we're now in the minibus. Bo and myself are like injured or unfit. Kev's come to support us, so we're in the minibus. Kevin, the driver's there, and of course Wayne's mum, Carl's mum, and stepdad are there. So Mike and Carl are on their way up Scaffold Pike, and we're like, they should have been down by now. So they've been up there like 4 hours, and they're pretty fit and stuff.
Wow.
Then it gets to 5 hours, then 6 hours, because there's no phone signal. There's you've literally got 0 bars. You're in nowhere. 7 hours. It's like now overnight, and so Kay, Wayne's mum is getting pretty distraught at this point. She's like, hang on, I've lost one son to leukemia and the other one's lost up a mountain. Now, we didn't call mountain rescue. We did, let's just be quite clear there. So we didn't drain the emergency services, but it was quite obvious we were not prepared.
Yeah.
Turns out they had got to the top and they'd gone down the other side of the mountain because navigating skills weren't brilliant. And they just said, oh, look, we can see some lights down there. They aimed for the lights. Turns out they're literally the other side of Scuffell Pike, down at Wasdale. We're at Seathwaite, they're at Wasdale. And if you know, it's very remote.
But you think you'd trace your steps back the way you came, right? You wouldn't think you go
in the dark.
In the dark,
in
fair
their
enough.
defence.
In the dark, you
so
can see.
they ended up in a pub, the other side of Wasdale. They're getting fed bacon rolls and coffee by this innkeeper who's like felt sorry for them, and we're now then eventually they managed to get hold of us, so we're driving around the Lake District around the mountain, and we like it took us an hour to get there. We abandoned Snowdon. We're like, we've messed up Ben Nevis. We've climbed the wrong mountain. We've had to turn back up Scuffell Pike, and 2 of them have got lost. We just let's just go home. Let's just lick our wounds and come clean. So we drove back, and again, it's another 4 hours.
Did you was that the 24-hour cut-off anyway? Kind of.
Yeah, we'd
missed
missed it completely. And I remember on the way back, I said, well, we've already done Snowdon in practice. it kind of counts. And so we go back, and we go back to Crick Lane, and the Working Men's Club is absolutely full of all of the local friends and family.
Welcome party.
Like welcome banners, welcome back the heroes, and we're like, we got a bit of a confession. We're there, they all bought us beers, got Guinness and lager and stuff. So we got a bit of a confession, and we told the story, and as you can imagine, the place just erupted in laughter. They're like, you freaking idiots, proper country style, you idiots, you wallies. And the hilarious thing is, so where we live, there is a local hill, and I mean it's a very tiny hill. It's called Common Hill, and there's like the local country club is at the top, and they went, "You lot will get lost going up Common Hill," and so we took the brunt of the jokes. We confessed, we offered to pay the sponsorship back and fund it out of our own money, and everyone was like, "Don't be silly. This is great for leukemia research." We were all having a bit of a laugh, and like I say, we had a little social media page, had a Just Giving page. So it kind of went viral with friends. I say viral, we were the talk of the town.
People were sharing the story.
People were sharing the story.
First.